thank you very much, Pekka, for the introduction. I'm gonna share now my screen to begin the webinar. Welcome, everybody. Let me just share this screen. Okay. Okay, so today's webinar will be for importing goods, correct? It's interesting topic, especially for those of you in the purchase team, and why not sometimes even verifying accounts payable. This could be really reinforcing what Business Central can do for us and how it helps. Good. So the idea then is that we're going to be purchasing first of all, my company is in England in this example, in this demo environment, but I will be able to purchase from Latin America, from other countries in Europe, and so forth. So the idea for the important part is that we want to verify with some specific vendors. We need to check any given item, but with the specific tariffs, customs, taxes, why not? And then, of course, with multi-currency processes, right? So in this example, this is Business Central in the cloud. By the way, this technology allows me to then connect with my vendors. Maybe I can import their items, you're right? If they have a website, that would be a good idea. I have this method that we have in Business Central that is called a Rapid Start, okay? And Rapid Start gives me the opportunity to import through Excel, let's say items from the websites, and I want those items to have it right here in my database. And the vendors as well. For our implementations, I'm going to ask you about the general data. I'm going to get the general information, the address, and then other specific data that I'm going to require, right? And all of this, I'm going to just move into some specific fields that will be important, of course, right? So whenever I want to look for a specific vendor, for instance, for me, I have a wildboard importers, okay? This is one vendor that I used to purchase. He's located in the USA, in Atlanta, right? And of course, for any given process that I want to do, then the only thing is that, well, if I'm located in a country that, well, I will consider vendors that will be foreign, vendor that will be local, and so forth, right? Now, the first thing that I want to check whenever I want to import is prepare a purchase order and send it to a vendor, okay? And we have then this first entity that we need to cover and verify then, of course, the actual purchase orders that I can create. And let me explain you what a purchase order or a purchase process do, okay? The first thing is to create a purchase quote, okay? I'm going to now verify, and by showing in this webinar, showing the basics, right? The purchase quote is a document that is going to help me to save data. It's not a real purchase order yet. It's just the draft document where you're going to save some items, costs, or the quotation, basically, like the actual name is mentioning here. So for me, I want to use the wildboard importers vendor. Okay, so the idea is that in this document, right? The purchase header that we just need to insert a vendor. I'm going to start, let's say, a negotiation just right now with this one. And when I just insert from the list, right, from the list of vendors that I have, I can look for them with the text, etc. Let's say that this is, well, located in another country, like I mentioned. Well, I want to purchase and import items, and then the idea is that, well, the same document that I will be preparing to this vendor is going to provide me the items that I want to purchase. Good. So this is then the first document that you might be thinking about all the time, the basis. So the real document that is going to be the actual purchase for the items. And then later, sometimes other vendors help you with the freight, with insurance or customs, right? And then we are going to need to then think about how that we're going to manage all of that and do everything matching, right? So let's say that I want to purchase for whiteboard importers some items. All of them will be coming, let's say, in a container. I need to talk with him, with this vendor, how am I gonna, well, purchase. But then let's say I'm going to then bring some furniture. I have plenty of different type of items here. Let me check. Yeah, some chairs. Okay, this will be good. Okay, so let's take a look. I have some Paris. I don't have inventory. Paris guest chairs. I have pedestals, desks, right? All of these items that I want to purchase, let's say that they are even coming in packs or anything, you can think of different purchase unit of measures. They are allowed. Then for us, it's not a problem. So the idea is that in order to include items, just we need from the list to pick, well, any given item that we desire to purchase, correct? And then as well, if you want, let's take a look, you can input some prefix for your own search, and immediately, well, I have actually numbered my own items, the furniture that actually begins with one prefix, okay? In this case, 1900, okay? So that would be then a way of actually look for the items very fast. That's advisable, you know, figure out how to actually number your products is going to help us with the purchase management. But sometimes as well, we have another vendor reference, okay, the item reference number. So in this case, the vendor item number might be a good idea to have. What else? So we can actually purchase very fast, okay, and then as well look and have an order by the actual vendor item code, okay, and this is good. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, I have looked for the vendor catalog I downloaded from a website, right? The different items actually that this vendor has. And then if I just verify, I have additional descriptions like, well, I was selecting some furniture to purchase, but from what I can see, actually this vendor in this database is actually offering me like oranges and fruits, or yeah, for a supermarket, let's say, look at this, Mexican orange imported. Okay, and what is the beautiful thing about this part that we have from a Business Central function? Okay, the item reference list is a previous downloaded catalog of items that I downloaded from a website, right, with another item number, SKU, a vendor item number, call it however you want it, is for me just a reference, right, that I can link to an item that I have just created. You get this part? And this will be then helping me then just to actually have just one item, so to speak. Right? With one single item, then I will have a link of multiple other numbers or references to different items. But for me, anyway, I have created my own sequence internally. Well, let's say that my furniture starts with this prefix 19, right? But I can input a reference if this item actually has another type of number, right? A other barcode, whatever it might be as well, a SKU or a design vendor number that they will use then to actually input and use that information. Now, the location code is where I'm going to actually receive items. In my own company, I have different warehouses, of course, right? The main warehouse, but at the same time in the north, in Detroit, in the USA, and as well, I have stores, so I can receive in the store, okay? And well, other ideas, well, it's just because I manage as well subcontracted components. Well, sometimes I send to other vendors to manufacture some of my items, and then I receive them back into my subcontractor department, right? A warehouse and so forth. But other ideas that we can do. In this place, I just want to then to continue with the document, just to mention, okay, I have just inputted some quantities, okay, just that I want to purchase, maybe a little bit more because I will be importing, okay, and let's say that I will be just inputting any given quantity, and the direct unit cost will be then just here, okay. This was already part of the configuration that I have for the items, but in the reality, and this is something that I want to do today, I want to save this information of what I'm purchasing, because in this moment I'm just quoting, right? So I'm going to ask to this vendor, well, what is the price? And they will be increasing now the item, the cost, okay? Remember that your vendors will always increase this part. So even though if we are importing or purchasing locally, this cost might change a little, which I'm just doing now. So from these swivel chart blue from 148 now will be 150. Okay, and so forth. Just let's try to replicate some real ideas, real scenarios, because we want to then later analyze the cost. Remember that this is well a very important whenever you purchase. I strongly recommend then to then verify all the information, right? And what type of information, the unit cost, not only the items and the quantities, but as well, you might have other unit of measures, right? So we have the capacity to create multiple unit of measures for your items. And then it's not the same to purchase a piece or purchase a pallet or a box or whatever, right? And then within Business Central, we know how many, well, how to place the cost. Once we know how many units every unit of measure has inside, let's say a six-pack will contain six cans and so forth, right? So the idea is that in first place, this will be the amount that I will be paying for my purchase, okay? And this is just take a look in a specific currency, US dollars, a lot of money actually. So this fictitious purchase is really expensive. But this is very important for me, okay? With the currency in hand, then the idea is that I want to then understand just basically the exchange rate if when necessary, right? Let's say that for me, even I want to change now even the currency, why not? Okay, and look now, this is very important. I have changed the currency on purpose, right, to euros. And the idea is that, well, I'm going to get then an exchange rate on the fly for me as a purchaser. The accountant did this for me, okay? And I was negotiating with a vendor. The wild word importers vendor is going to sell in euros, and I can get the comparison. So for me, then €1 actually, well, has this a value in US dollars, okay? And then the idea, and yes, is something that we can configure. This is a multi-currency environment. Let me just give you this preview so you can be sure that this is going to help you. And then the currencies are actually pre-configured, in this case, US dollars, euros, and Mexican pesos, and then you're gonna get your exchange rate. And you can connect it to real time, or your accountant is going to be able to actually configure that, right? This will be very important for me in this very moment, because the actual importing process requires this type of actually the calculation, right? Because what I want to do later is as well pay to this vendor in the same currency that you are purchasing. In the end, that's possible. Okay, that will be the standard, but as well, if they accept other currency, we can in Business Central do that as well. But that will lead later maybe to gain and losses of the exchange rate variation that we're gonna have, of course, right? So this is just a simple quotation, but I just making these notes of what will be the issues that you might have, and then whether Business Central can do so or no. So it's very easy. You have seen here that I have just by changing the currency, then just be able to actually place this part as needed, right? And then it's very important that sometimes you're going to assign one user to follow up this purchase to verify that everything arrives, right? And important, when you're going to be requesting, let's say that I want this for, well, just for the demo, I want it for today, okay? But this will be measuring as well for me. Some important information for the warehouse to receive that, okay? And well, for me, then I have basically this basic information, right? I just would continue doing this exactly a type of analysis with different vendors. And in this case, the items that I want to purchase, well, this will be, in this case, the total plus then the taxes calculated, right? All the items in this very moment. Well, when I purchase from a foreign country, they have then as well some specific taxes, okay? But it's up to you. It depends if you want to, for instance, in the Caribbean, some countries you're not going to apply additional information for the taxes, or maybe some items yes, some others no, and so forth. Don't worry about it. Business Central, we configure by actually type of item in combination from with the vendor. If it's a local or a foreign vendor, your taxes now for importing will be calculated based on two type of variables: from where you are purchasing, which country, and then in locally, well, how your items are considered to be the tax. So after I have done this very basic document to whiteboard importers, I actually just let's say request an approval. Why not sometimes? But for me as a purchaser, I just gonna make like 10 type of different quotations, sometimes a few only, or sometimes well, just one directly. But I have decided to create these very basic steps because the idea is that we have a tool where we can create our draft documents, make different type of reviews with different vendors, and in the end, we'll having the chance to review this total. I will continue doing some more and even copy the document, okay, but maybe just changing the vendor, okay. So with this type of functions, we are going to be able to have it. Well, I don't have the time to show all the different tools, correct? And I'm sorry for that. This is very interesting topic, or importing from Excel, like you know, connecting to web services to get the real cost and things like that. But let's go. This is the standard functionality that we have, and of course, when we do some other exercises, we might add other features and things like that, right? But that exists. That exists. So after a purchase quote is done, I just want to click on this function. Let's just remember this part, which actually just make after we decide, okay, this is the actual purchase quotation that I want to use. Actually, then the idea is that this function make order is going to create a firm purchase order. And what is that? Well, a legal document, okay? The actual, let me just change this from the simple quotation that was just draft. And then after my negotiation, I want to create a real purchase order. This is going to ask me, do you want to convert the quote to an order? And I'm just going to click on yes. Very good. So with this, look, this is going to tell me now the new purchase order document or the document number, right, for my new purchase order that was just recently created. So I can have the references, even copy it, okay? And then it's going to ask me, do you want to actually open this new order? I, of course, want to see it. And voila. Okay, I have now, this is not a quotation, this is a purchase order. Okay, what will be the difference? Well, the real purchase order is just basically the real firm contract of a purchase that you're about to do or to complete with a vendor. It's just that I haven't yet sent it to the vendor. But once that it runs and you send it, and then you even communicate, then this can be, of course, used for legal purposes, correct? That is why we need to then have this information saved. Let me just change my reception, my warehouse that I actually want to use to receive these items. Okay, I want to receive them in the main warehouse. But anyway, All of the other aspects will be the same. The euros, the total, the items that I want to purchase are just furniture, like the chair, a pedestal, a lamp. Well, right? All of these different units are for me then available for my selection. But anyway, everything was as well copied. In the end, it's editable. You're not going to then need to say, oh, hey, I have converted to a purchase order. I cannot change it anymore. No, no. The draft document was for me, for my own personal usage, my files, and there is no problem with that, right? But the purchase order that I want to explain and the process that I will be explaining is the following communication with the vendor. Send it through an email and so forth, and that starts the actual real process. So in this very moment, part of the regular tools is sometimes adding an attachment. Maybe I would like to have an evidence of this purchase. I will send it to an approval workflow before sending it to the vendor, right? That's quite common. So let's think, hey, I downloaded the purchase order PDF document that I downloaded because I purchased on a website first or something like that. And the other ideas, this is a budget, this is the pictures of any given item. But most importantly, the actual confirmation, maybe even with the vendor that you're going to be purchasing something, but they are going to give you a cost, right? With all the items that you are including. And then that's the idea. I want to attach then one file that we have here with the number 1. If I want to open it at a given moment, then here is once again my PDF. Why somebody would do this? Well, to have evidence of the actual costs that I want to have in this purchase, and even before sending it, well, your approver, your manager, or if you have a dedicated approver, will review whatever you have constructed in the purchase. Is going to review the cost, the unit of measure, the currency, and why not even sometimes taxes, okay? So to verify that the purchase in advance is done, okay? And why not other type of purchase? Some of the things that I do sometimes with my team whenever we do implementation. Purchase code red, okay? This is something that I have implemented once. Purchase colors, okay? This is very urgent. Nobody review that. Nobody do the planning or replenishing processes that we have with Business Central. You need to start, well, at least trying to verify you. And if this is red, it's because it's urgent. Nobody reviewed this before. Nobody knew that we need to actually do this in advance and purchase these items, right? So, well, because you have not planified, well, you need to urgently purchase. In other ways, you can continue adding notes and so forth, right? Depending on your operation. And another idea that I always recommend, posting description. It's something that we have in our environments. Whenever we need to purchase from abroad, right? We are going to get the container bill of lading and continue to do multiple purchase order, but I want to then mark the container number. Even I want to write the word container 9999, right? And this is the way we're going to be then managing all the purchases that belong to one container. We have one or multiple fields that we can use to add a specific information. Other ideas, the vendor order number, if you have it, okay, if the vendor gives you that, you will have done a negotiation or whatever, right? Or even maybe before using these fields, I don't even know at this point, maybe the container or anything, okay? You might be telling me that, no, but you are just creating a single document. It's fine with the attachment and all the other tools, but I want to see the real process, okay? But in this case, it's not, for us, it would be really easy then to continue with that. It's just that before actually doing any type of action, Business Central is going to block me. For instance, if I want to receive or invoice an order, and it tells me, hey, before you do anything, you need to send to an approved workflow. And it's telling me, This must be approved before you can release it or send it to the vendor even, right? And that's well part of my configuration process. I will be sending now this purchase order to an approval workflow, meaning that all the attachment, all the evidence and everything, somebody's going to review this stuff, which in this case is just myself. For you to know, we have approval workflows, yes. Yeah, so you can send it to a team of approvers or by hierarchy. If it's too expensive, the director as well is going to review this purchase. So let's click send to approval request. And please, we have other webinars where I have go in depth with the approval workflow, so you can see all the different possibilities to configure a workflow with approvers, with amounts or limits and so forth, right? And then because I'm just the administrator for today, I have just pre-approved. So I'm cheating, right? I'm just actually sending my own approvals. And look at this. This is the status release. Release is when I have just actually received the approval. Now, let's say that you make a mistake. No, the cost of one item was not correct or something. No problem. You can still reopen it before sending it to the vendor. Okay, so that's part of the actual normal process. Now, the thing here is that for us, we need just to send it to the vendor. I'm going to click on send document. And well, in this case, if it's a local vendor, you would use your printer and maybe the vendor is in your office, right? So you just print that. We have the two options here. I don't want to print it in this moment. I just want to send it through Outlook with an email, and just you can actually print and prompt for settings. So let's verify. So email attachment will be PDF. If you want, we can attach a Word, Excel document, whatever, right? Or even electronic document for EDA. But that's another type of tool. So this is the actual normal process. I want to purchase. Look at this purchase order. Hello, whiteboard importers. The purchase is attached to this message. Okay, very beautiful text that was pre-configured. So this is one of the tools that you will be using a lot. The pre-configured email bodies in conjunction with the Outlook tool that we have here in Business Central. So I'm going to have communications, and Business Central is connected with Office with Microsoft, and all the tools that Office offers, right? In this case, I have connected just one of my email accounts, okay, to then be able to send and receive quotations. Look at this, the sales quote now on the sales team, as well as receiving information to start selling. But the idea of this is that actually it just has a conjunction to send automated emails. Okay, it has that is out of the box integrated. So it's super cool, this actual tool, and you can even edit within Excel or Word or other ideas. Okay, even you can click on, hey, I want to use our Word template. Okay, so this is then a vendor memo. Okay, and then I have created what else? You can have multiple Word documents that you can apply in this very moment. Sometimes you have one message for one vendor or for another, and then you don't want to use the defaulted one. This is why we use Word template. And then just the PDF document that is attached as well was already created. Okay, and this was done everything. It's like a simple report. Just basically quite do. We will add here your logo for your company, and look at this, how this report is quite simple, but with colors or with the specific layout as well, we can print it. So your vendor has actually all the information that you will normally do manually, okay? But then for the implementation, I will ask you just about the email body and what will be the attachments that you want. But remember, everything is calculated on the fly. Look at how everything has one date, the actual new document that I created, and so forth, right? So I'm just going to then leave it for now, okay? But okay, let's say that I have to just send it to the vendor. This was already approved and all the steps that I want. What happened here is that sometimes, let's say that the vendor confirms, okay, this is exactly all the information that I need. I'm going to send your items, okay? Two things could happen. We have a prepayment that you can use, okay? That you can actually send a payment before the actual vendor really sends the actual shipment to your warehouse or desired warehouse, okay? And then this is for me very important sometimes, but we have the prepayment functionality that is available for me to prepare first one payment. Okay, so whenever I actually just do any given purchase, then send it to the vendor, and we would be waiting. Okay, remember that I told you about the actual receiving date. And this is then the actual reception date that I have created, okay? Well, just for the demo will be for today, but this will be maybe in 1 or 2 weeks if it's specifically if it's from abroad, just that I want to have, I would like to receive it today, okay? No problem. In this case, then, let's say that at some point, right, your vendor is going to start sending the items, right? And you're going to receive them then either in your own warehouse or maybe in another vendor is going to receive, and you have rented a warehouse from abroad. That actually happens a lot, okay? But then I want to explain you the first steps when we import. Then I will receive invoice or receive an invoice at the same time. Okay, this could be happening. But for us, I don't receive in the real warehouse, okay? Not at this very moment. I have an interim or middle step where one of my vendors will receive in one of the warehouses, maybe in another country, because I have one vendor that is going to do the shipment or the freight service for me, right? They have their own warehouses and so forth, right? For that to happen, I could create a virtual warehouse. It's not a problem. So we can have a real warehouse where we have our items. So try to follow me here. Or receive the warehouses, the items in a virtual warehouse that is telling me, hey, I have inventory in transit, and that would be super important, okay, to have as well. We can do so. So the first thing is that I just will be receiving items, okay, independently if it's your real warehouse or a warehouse from abroad. But what we are saying with the first reception step that I'm doing here is that for you as purchaser, I want to advise something that comes from the accounting criteria or point of view. I don't care if you physically receive your items or your freight services give you that possibility to receive in the vendor's warehouses. For the warehouse that give you the freight services as an example, right? From the accounting perspective, I just want to know in which moment I will be receiving any other warehouse, right? Or my own warehouse, but I want to understand when it's already my inventory. It's not anymore on transit. The vendor first have the items on their own hands, but when they deliver where I indicate if it's my warehouse or my my vendor, my representative who's going to receive the items in my name, okay, that's my inventory then, and that will be something that I will we do when we implement. Okay, when your freight services vendor receives the items from these wildboard importers, I can say, okay, this is my inventory. And from that moment, we do all the accounting procedures, okay? So I don't want to do a very complicated this part. Maybe your process is super easy and it's not as complicated as I'm explaining, okay? But sometimes it happens. You receive your items in other countries. You just indicate to the system when it's already yours, okay? And that will be then trigger all the following functions that I'm going to mention. So I have just assigned in this a purchase order the quantity that I was received, okay? Look at this. I have now units. All my 4 items, 100 units were already received. So what I did here is for me as a purchaser, I just need to communicate with my local warehouse Well, in this very moment, the warehouse, if it's in Business Central, right, it has already received the items. I don't have to do anything, okay? The system is going to do the matching for me, okay? The actual matching, if it's now my real warehouse, is quite different. That is, if it's from abroad. If it's local, let's say that I have a warehouse in other countries and all of that. Well, if that happens, okay, just in that case, when the warehouse clerk actually was doing the lectures with the handheld and everything else, receiving the items, this communicated to my purchase order through another a secondary document that we call the receipts. Okay, these are separated tasks. You as a purchaser, you were only negotiating, right? But the warehouse clerk has their own document to work, which is called the purchase receipt. Okay, I'm the administrator, I can do everything, all right? But in this moment, the actual work will be separated. You negotiate, you have the negotiation with the vendor, the communications, and they tell you, hey, I'm arriving to the warehouse and so forth. And the warehouse clerk is going to do the purchase receipt. The warehouse clerk only cares about these units and the pieces. They don't really care about taxes, currencies, discounts, or anything about the information that you actually do. So they are separated duties, separated documents. This is not a purchase order. This is a purchase receipt. But it's very important. Now I have the references with the quote, with the order number, original quote that I did, the original purchase order document, and so forth, right? All of that information together. And then in this very moment, before even arriving to your country, or well, we have different type of options here, all right? If you receive these items in your real warehouses, okay, we can then see that information because when we scan it, if it's just you receive the items from abroad and your vendor receives that for you, well, as well as your inventory from now on, okay, it's not a problem. But then the idea is that we just indicate when these items were received, either from my logistics services or myself in my own warehouses. That would be then the most important process. Now, what would happen here then later is that your vendor or your, or well, it depends from where you are importing, you will be receiving the bill of lading, right, document, and I want this. I really need this. And as well, the shipment number, okay? So you as a purchaser would need to add additional data to then locate some specific information to then add other expenditures, because I want to add later insurance, the freight services that I will be needing to pay. I will be receiving then later because my vendors or some of my in my supply chain, different vendors will be giving me different services, okay? So one for the shipment is the bill of lading or the container number. Let's say this will be the container number 1, okay? And the vendor order, these guys actually just call this the sales order, or even something like this. So sales order, they are selling, okay, 99999, okay? We need those references then later to receive, to do the payments and so forth, right? So we have different type of actions that we can just apply here. Okay, so very good. In this very moment, this is exactly what I wanted. And what happened if as well, just for you to know, some receptions were not done properly, okay? In this very moment, I could actually, even for me, the purchaser, if you are going to have some rights or authorization of doing the following, maybe somebody calls you, hey, some of the pieces or this was not received properly, some units were not delivered, sorry, I committed some mistakes. Okay, coming back to the exercise, I was explaining, well, that we are just doing some actions for the purchase order reception, okay? And we now have a container number that your vendor gives you, and other type of numbers that we're gonna need for this importing process, right? But the main idea is that actually, yes, I have purchased, And then some items that I have here, all this list, well, are going to, were received, right? And they are just there, okay? It's not a problem. Now, what I want to do then from now on is that at some point as I continue to work with this, I want to then, let me just, then add other important information for me. For instance, let me add other fields to your purchase that you will be using for the importing process. Let me see. Okay. And then this could be, for instance, external document number. All my fields were included. A vendor shipment, posting description to recognize the bill of lading. And then as well, we are able to see all the receptions, okay? The receptions that were done, they have a number. The warehouse clerk is doing this task, is doing this job, okay? So from now on, you have one reception or multiple receptions, okay? So when you import, actually it's important to know this document is available, okay? It's available for us in conjunction with what the warehouse does. Well, I can see that in my purchase order document, okay? So some items were already received. That will be then the scenario here, and then we just continue, okay? Quantity received. By the way, I have not invoiced these items yet, okay? So that's not the case in this very moment. Maybe later when I receive the actual invoice, I'm going to actually just do that, okay? And then let me just start doing the following step, because the process here for me is when I receive some items and I just leave there, the purchase invoice might be then just waiting 1 or 2 weeks. It depends on your actual process, but for me, I'm just purchasing from Wild World importers, okay? That's the the vendor that delivers or provide the items for me. The second step will be creating another purchase order or purchase invoice, okay? Now for the freight or insurance services and so forth. How do we do that? I can just leave it there. You invoice the actual purchase order later or when you receive the actual invoice, but this can be just there and we just have all the information. Now I'm going to open a purchase invoice because normally when I actually just work with this, I'm going to create a new purchase invoice. I will purchase to one vendor, but I will pay the freight services or insurance or custom to other vendors, okay? So in this case, I will be using the, I don't know, the Fabricant vendor, okay? This will be giving me the freight services and insurance and other type of criteria. But what is a purchase invoice? Well, we give first a purchase order that helps me actually to control the items and the inventory, okay? And it has a connection with the warehouse module. And the purchase invoice, okay, is more focused on the accounting processes, okay? So whatever we want to input, an expenditure, or even I can actually continue to purchase items, but they don't have this inventory, the control, right, for partial receptions or things like that, okay? They're just more related to input whatever you need to pay, and then you're gonna do so. And the component that I'm going to use actually is the charge item. I can actually purchase or include in my invoice different type of components like a simple GL account. As I mentioned, I can as well include items here to purchase, but sometimes I need to include other type of components like the charges. A charge is just a simple expenditure that I do. Let me just show you my catalog of different charges that I have actually created, just as an idea. A different catalog, so for instance, the freight, imported good expenses, miscellaneous, this could be your customs, right? And you have a list of different customs expenditures that you might do or include. So I will apply just one example to make it easy. The freight charge, okay? So I will be paying to Fabricant the freight services. Let's just do it. And let's see what would be the real scenario for me. Well, in this case, I just will handle now the quantity. I will be paying, let's say, I don't know, $500, okay, for the freight service, okay? This will be then the scenario. I have two vendors. One is going to provide me the item. Another one will be providing me the freight services, okay? But what will happen in the end is that the real cost of the items is going to continue to increase, okay? I wanted to take you to that a function just right now. How do I actually, if I continue to pay more or to actually take the items to my store or to my local store, right? I will input freight services, insurance, customs, and so forth, right? That would increase then and will increase the cost of the items that I'm purchasing. How then do we apply this 500 expenditure, right? $500 expenditure to increase the item cost, okay? And that's done through the following function. We just need to click on the actual application that we call item charge assignment, okay? Let me just open this. And from here, the idea is that I will be looking for all the items that I have already, let's say, received, okay? Or look for the container, look for the reception or the items that you have just received, basically. And this is exactly what I want to do. I know that I'm paying the freight services for one container or bill of lading or reception document, okay? And I have filtered that item. Let's take a look at this, okay? This could be multiple purchase order, it's not a problem. You can continue to filter and add other purchase orders or bill of or containers here. Multiple purchase order in one container is normally the scenario, okay? And multiple items at the same time. So from here, the idea is that I'm going to have the tool to be able to select all of them, okay? So not only by filtering, but I have this additional tool. And for me, then everything that I actually select, why not maybe more purchase orders that I have? So this was the actual selection without filtering, just using the actual tools to tell the system, these are the items that I have already purchased in the bill of lading 1072.99. Sorry, this is the reception document, okay? But then think about it, okay? You how to manage that part, which items you are going to select. And in this case, well, these 4 lines for Paris guest chair, mobile pedestal, the lamp, the London Freewood chair. These items that I have purchased already, this is my inventory already, okay? Even though I still maybe don't have it in the real warehouse, okay? It depends on your actual process. But once you consider this is your inventory, then you apply then this to your actual, you're going to be able to apply the actual 500. So we have selected 4 items only just for our example, and I still have in red $500 that I haven't yet applied. And this is why this is in color red. The following step is just suggest the item charge assignment. I will apply, right, and allocate to all these items. This could be, I'm going to allocate the $500. This could be with 2 methods equally. This will be then applied, let's say, evenly to all the items. The 0.25% or $125. This amount would increase then the actual cost of the item, okay? So all the 100 items that I have received, I will split this $125 more or less $1 per item to actually be able to import it, more or less. But if that's not what I want to do as well, I can change it to separated by amount or by weight or by volume. That's another feature that we have in Business Central if needed, because for some items, I actually in my warehouse measure the gross weight or the unit volume. It depends, but we can do so evenly by the amount. For the ones that are more expensive, we allocate more cost and so forth, right? So we have these specific methods. Now, if you actually receive this pre-calculated from another system or your customs actually do this for you, we can import that as well to this window within Excel. And this is just part of the normal processes we implement. But you get the idea, right? Now I'm applying, increasing the cost of all of these items that I have purchased and applied the 500. Well, were just fully applied to these 400 items that I've received. Let me just go back, right? And then I have applied it. I can pay this 500 to the fabricant, but in the end, I just want to go back to see the increase of the cost on all of these items. So let's just post it now. Do you want to post the invoice? The idea is yes. This is asking me for the invoice number. Oh, just for the payment as well with AP. Well, I will need, for me as a purchaser, I'm going to need to ask for the vendor invoice number, right? So they can pay the invoice 99999 immediately for actually the freight service that I requested. So I want just to pause this. I will click on yes. And this then will be posting this value, okay, into the actual accounting. Now, if I just come back for a moment as well, I would need to post the actual invoice, the actual purchase order to Wildwood Importers. This was a purchase order that I created for the vendor that I used to purchase the actual items. And this is the actual purchase, okay? So from here, the Wildwood Importers, from this vendor, Wildwood Importers, I actually purchased these items, okay? So I did two types of purchase documents. The purchase order, once again, to Wildwood Importers is to purchase the items, and the purchase order has additional controls to actually measure the quantities, and the quantities not only requested, but the quantities that were already received. Look at this, all these 400 items were already received. And then later I create a second invoice, the one for the freight, that will just increase the cost of these 100 items. Because, well, if you can see here, every given item, let's just begin with this purchase negotiation that I did. The first item, let's say the Paris guest chair, black, very nice. This actual item has the Paris guest chair has this unit cost, okay, 151. And the other ones, well, I can see the unit cost of all of the items that I'm purchasing. Well, that's good. That's the total that I will be paying. Well, multiplying by the quantity, well, it's just 100. So from 141 by 100 that I'm purchasing, this will be the total. So with these values, I need to be super sure about all this information, because now I'm going to invoice this purchase, okay? So verify the real cost. You are going to receive now the invoice from this vendor and make the note here. This is the invoice number that I received from this vendor. I need to be sure that all the costs are matching exactly what that invoice says, okay? Until now, the actual direct unit cost field was still editable, so you can change at any given moment, even in the very last moment, the actual values for this purchase that you're going to be paying. So you as purchaser need to verify that everything matches perfectly. And then I'm just going to post and then include and invoice this purchase order. So once I have done that, what I have just done in these two different documents is two things. The pay for the real cost of these items, which I have here, 151, 339. Let's try to remember these figures, okay? Let's go with the first item. Okay, this item originally with this vendor only cost me 151, but remember that later I actually paid for a freight service, so I expect to see the real cost to be increased. Let's see and with the cost application that I did, I'm going to travel directly to the item, which you can do for this from this posted purchase invoice that I have open. And just to verify that now I have, look at this, 100. So first of all, when I received the item, this was increasing the quantities or the physical inventory that somebody counted with the scanner and so forth in the main warehouse, okay? And from here, from this item card, you can see multiple warehouses. And you can see how many units or net new inventory you have in each, okay? That's one of the things that we normally do. Now, regarding the item card, this is the Paris Gesture Black, okay? It has the general information that you would normally expect to see, like the unit of measure, the item category. We have different type of categories, so you can actually verify that information and create your reports. We have different categories. In this case, well, different categories. Some of my items are chairs, desks, tables, miscellaneous, and so forth, right? And you have, well, a beautiful picture. And look at this. Whenever we receive, we are going to need this additional information because it's going to tell us some specific features of this item. So when we receive, preferably, right, we have this information to avoid confusions for the receiver. The receiver can see this when we design it and so forth. You can imagine then all of that, the information that we have then just for the physical inventory to be accurate. Now, for the cost or the value, look at this. I have the unit cost, and then I have created different invoices all over the place, okay? Some for the purchase, some for the freight, some for insurance, I don't know, okay? Different type of entries. So in this very moment, what I want to do is just basically verify. Let me just, we have some routines, okay? It is just update cost. Let me just show you one of my actual routines that I use. It is called adjust item cost prices. What happened here is that I know the cost that I paid for this purchase, but then later, a few weeks later, right, I applied some additional costs, okay? And then like the freight, like the insurance, and multiple values that I have actually inputted, okay? And this is exactly the process, okay? This was exactly the value, how it was increased. Let me just give you an insight. One of the things that I have basically is that I have the average cost calculation or FIFO and all of that, right? And let's take a look at my unit cost. All of this time since 2021, miraculously, this vendor never increased the cost. I can see in January, I can see, let's take a look at February, even March 2021. All this time, the unit cost was 150.3. Okay, and look at this, all these entry types were just purchases, okay? And for the others, I have sales, which are these, look at this, the negative number is because I have decreased the inventory, -4, and this is related to a sale. And this is how I do this lecture. For the cost, for the operating costs, this is what we see here, the operating costs. Okay, in this case, I purchased for 150. But what happened with the recently posted freight invoice that I have actually done? Okay, look at this. The cost now was increased from 150 to 151.27. Okay, and why is this? You can actually take a look at this specific entry. Why the cost has increased? This is very useful whenever you actually look for, if you don't have a specific cost that were or that are completely wrong, okay, that would be really helpful for me and understand what happened with the costs that you are seeing and why in this case my item or the value of this item now is 151. Okay, so this is very valuable to understand, and we have this in Business Central. This is what we call, by the way, the actual value entries, okay? The value entries that I see here. So we have a purchase receipt, okay? And we have, look at this, the cost, the cost amount, all right? And then I want to post the cost to the GL. This actually even tells you that if everything, before you take it to the GL account, this is your own process, okay? Your own module. Everything that I have done is under the purchasing department. So you can still verify the costs. You can look at this, the cost per unit. 150, okay? But when look at how all of the costs, the value that I'm looking here, the actual value was increased. The cost per unit was this. But then later I added some other costs. So you as purchaser can see that, okay? Immediately for every entry. No, but let's take a look. I have actually increased the cost per unit, but this is another field, the cost per unit, that is actually showing you the actual real cost, okay? Not only the cost per unit, but the actual application of insurance, customs, services, and what will be the final cost of any given item. In this case, only one, all right? But this is so good because now I can see that I have created one purchase, look at this, and this reception was already done. And then you expected to have one cost. You can still verify if I normally see the unit cost, okay? And yes, I can see here that everything was increased from 150 to 151. And you can continue drilling down into the actual information that you see. Is not a problem. And verify, for instance, the GL entries. This is a posted purchase receipt, actually, okay? So everything is connected. So we created invoices and purchases, different areas, right? But we are applying this to one single type of item, one single item, and we can see all the statistics, okay? All the statistics that I have. So once we understand that part, and as well all historical information, how this unit cost was then actually changing. Remember that your vendors normally will increase. So this value within the time in the future is going to be increasing, yes or yes. But you can see now how it changed, why, you can see the document number and so forth, right? So let me see if I can actually print another report. This report purchases, give me the detail. 1 second, please. Let me just give you one of the reports that I have, okay? And this is the item charges specification. You asked me, Noé, I like it, but in the end, now that you told me that, yes, Business Central is going to do everything behind for me, so I just have to focus on creating the purchase orders, the purchase invoices for freight, for customs, everything will be then calculated, that's good in the end, but I want additional reports, okay? I want to sometimes verify, okay, how many freights I have paid, okay? And to which items maybe I have actually used this type of expenditures, okay? So you can then have a total or separated. In this case, remember that we have categories, okay? That will be super good in this very moment because, for instance, I have the group subtotal, okay? Think about how you will be, it will be helpful for you, okay? So you can see the expenditure, not only by the actual document, but by item. By item, let me just go to one of the items that I have just purchased. This is the one, actually, okay? This is the one. Sorry. Then what you will be seeing here is the actual amount now in your currency, in local currency. This is very important. With our reports, of course, can be then shown in foreign or local currency. But for me, the idea in the end is that you actually understand that functionality that we have. Okay, we have different expenditures. In this case, this is the freight services. Okay, And from here, what I see, all the items that I have actually increased the cost using the freight services, okay? And then you can see here the actual value and how many units then you apply. So this is your report. This might be quite dull, okay? It's not like that beautiful. You have maybe other ideas. Maybe I want to see by vendor how many invoices are and specific items I have paid for the freight vendor, right? Because well, other type of layouts can be done, but I want to just show you this report to tell you, hey, here's your information, okay? You can see by subtotal, by item group. Maybe you are not really understanding this report, but in this case, because of the format only. But believe me, here's your information. We know the real cost of the item. We know the cost that you have applied because of the freight services and software, right? And this is just one of the reports that I just wanted to show. But at any given moment, then you can just click, print it, even send it, all of our reports with XML or a Word or Excel, maybe you want it, everything will be just exactly done. Or why not? Sometimes for me as a purchaser, I just want to tell to know when we do the implementation, hey, just give me the reports with the layout that I actually need for the expenditures, for my expenditures analysis. And then this schedule part is going to actually help you to then mention to which how you want to schedule this report to be printed, okay? This could be virtual or really send it to a printer in different formats, all of these formats available, you decide, okay? And then when you will be starting to do this, let's say that even today, I have this starting time. I want to print this report on a weekly basis, which will be for me 1W. If it's going to be on a daily basis, 1B, or 1M for 1 month. Okay, so you think about specifically this type of process, and does this report should be printing well, endlessly, or you want to have an expiration date and time for this type of process, okay? So we have automation for all the reports, and this will be, look at this reports has been scheduled. Yes, I will be doing my own expenditure analysis, let's say on a weekly basis, okay? And what happened here, I'm going to show you in a moment, because I have a full library of reports that I'm printing sequentially or on a periodic basis for me. I want to make some analysis on different criteria, the purchase reviews, the costs, the vendor statistics. Let me show you another report. Now for the vendor side. Vendor check, purchasing policies. Look at this, go reports and analysis. I can check within this tool, Business Central, tell me what to the function, like more or less what you would be doing with the Google or internet. Let's type a keyword and immediately it's going to take you to whatever you want to see with that. The vendors, do you want to see the vendors? Do you want to see the purchase invoices related to any given vendor, right? Different pages, okay? Pages and tasks. But now I don't want to see specifically that. I want to see then reports related to that. Okay, and we have a lot of different reports for your own analysis. Okay, so you will be normally seeing the purchase list, what you have purchased, if it has arrived. This report is going to tell you exactly that. Okay, and then we have other that one of them that I want to check is just the vendor item statistics. Okay, the vendor item statistics is going to as well give me some insights into. Let me just print it. So I can show you this. Okay, so here are my items, vendor item statistics. I strongly recommend to group your items so you can print it by group of items and understand this part. Okay, first of all, the quantity of items that I have purchased. Let me just go back to my items. Here's Wild Word Importers, one of the vendors that I have used for today's exercises. Okay, and here I can see all the items that I have purchased. Okay, you clarify and check the date of how you want to print this report. Okay, and here are my items. Okay, the Paris guest chair, I bought today 100 units, as well mobile pedestal 100. You can see here my purchase, good. But look at this. The idea is that the actual cost, okay, is now referenced here. Okay, so even for my reports in the purchase part, I can see how much I have paid, but in the end, I can see the actual unit cost. What will be the actual value, okay, of these items? The average cost. If you have discounts as well, this might help me, okay? So I normally print this report to filter by one single item, to filter with multiple vendors to check which one is give me the best average cost, because this is very important for you as a purchaser. Whenever I purchase something, I don't strictly see what is the best value. Maybe this item is provided, or my furniture is provided by multiple vendors, but you need to focus on your average cost. Why? Not the purchase unit cost, the average cost of, because in the end, you have so many variables, right, that affect the actual real cost that you have in your company. You're gonna pay freight, insurance, you're gonna pay the, and why not to consider to verify these items if they exist locally, okay? How do we do that? Let's just verify the item statistics, which vendors, in this case, I have printed my entire universe, okay? My entire universe. But in the end, I can see as well that, let me see, one of the items that I have purchased with another vendor just by any given chance. By any chance. Okay. Or even why not to print the report once again? Let me see, and look at this. Why not to filter by item? Okay. So you as a purchaser need to do your own analysis like this to verify how to create, how to well, help the company with the actual cost. Let me see one of the items that I just recently. I actually purchased my items randomly, okay? I don't want to tell you that I was actually doing this is on the fly, because this is what you would normally do, just with the items that you have purchased because there was a requirement by the replenishment automated part in Business Central, or you are actually need to do outside within Excel or with additional reports, okay? But better as item statistics is going to give you the chance, well, to verify in the end. Remember that we have so many variables, right? In this case, the wide importers, only one vendor is providing this item. No, let's just give another idea. I just need to look for one item that was purchased from different vendors, locally, from abroad, to different countries, and you can see how then we affect the cost, right? Literally. And so you have so many variables that you cannot just rely on the actual simple vendor cost price. But what happened with the increased cost within your, I don't find this actual item with multiple vendors. I just want to see one item that has multiple. Give me 1 second. Maybe I can do so. But, oh yeah, this one. Let's take a look. Okay. I was taking a look at this. Okay, let me just give you one insight. I have 3 vendors of 1,000. Why not to actually send it to Excel? Why not use now these tools? Let's just print it or verify this information. Okay, no, I don't want to accept. I want to make a further analysis. Sorry for the delay. Vendor item statistics as well, or vendor purchase statistics. All of them are really good actually, but what I want to see is just basically the process of well, just simply make an analysis to understand which vendors all of them give me the same items with different costs, but then I need to pay insurance. They need to pay freight. Some of them are local, some of they come from abroad, and then you just can't imagine that, right? So with this, I would say, okay, that's fine. But look at this, with this that I have exported now to Excel, this helps me to do my analysis, okay? So I have one average cost with one of the vendors, okay? 3 different costs, okay? This average cost is more or less, okay, what I would normally see. I have 3 different vendors that give me the same item, okay? One is called Fabricant, Graphic, and Wildwood Importers, okay? So let's take a look at the average, okay? But for me, I want to understand who is actually giving me the best cost, okay? The best cost. And with this, you're going to be able to decide, okay, which one to purchase this item from, okay? And the average cost in the end, well, it has just changed recently. I just need to run some additional routines, okay? But this can tell me which one of these vendors could give me the best option, or the profit analysis as well. Some of the different reports that actually help me. Let me just show you some additional reports, okay? This case is not here in this database. Oh, sorry. I will need to verify another report. And to get the actual list of vendor item, and vendor purchases by item. Look at this. Another type of criteria, different type of reports that help you to make this analysis and take it further, right? And this will be okay. So I have then the invoice quantity, the amount before discount, the discount, and the net average, okay? So multiple vendors, let's take a look here. Multiple vendors are going to give you, or you're going to be purchasing multiple items from different vendors, but in the end, what we want to see, what will be the net average, okay? What will be the cost that you will use, and then all the purchases that you have done for any given vendor, so you can make further analysis and look at the total of the purchase, make comparisons with to understand which vendor is better for you, and just to show you, because this will be quite important in the end. All of these that we have just reviewed today, I'm about to finish now my webinar. I want to see Power BI, okay? This is a third-party tool that we use, okay, for us purchasers. And well, other areas as well. Let's take a look at this. I have finance, customer profitability, right? All of this part. But I want to see a procurement analysis taken from Business Central, the regular information that I will be using, okay? And you can see here, for instance, well, the expenditures that you have actually done. So it will be very important for me to, well, this is just depicting historical data, like by month, okay? Like by month is just give me different historical information. What is direct cost, indirect, logistics, and other, okay? Think of how you actually do this internally, all right? When we do the implementation, we normally actually ask you what type of expenditures you apply. Is this customs? It is logistics, this freight, if this is insurance or others, right? So for instance, my direct cost will be then just verified here in the total for the company. My indirect cost, well, will be my expenditures of indirect cost a little bit lower. So this is telling me, yes, I'm paying more for the actual items, and for the other services, well, the expenditure. And even look at this, even with my demo and all the examples that I have done, the logistics expenditure is still quite low, okay? So with this, you might references to maybe do some filters, maybe by item group or something additional, right? What else? And this is, well, in this case, by category, my expenditures. Okay, I know that, well, I have more of the, for my budget, I consuming a lot by reviewing the items, but, well, I consume a lot in hardware in this case, because I was purchasing, yes, furniture within this company, right? But how much I pay to logistics or indirect goods and services or contracting and services, this will be maybe the customs, okay? And you can see then by category how then I organize my information. It's not complicated. And for me as well, I love to actually use this type of tools, reading information in real time, because I want to check, well, discounts analysis 4.23 discounts, how much you have saved using discounts with your vendors. So we always look for that, okay? But most importantly, okay, where am I, in which area am I purchasing more? Okay, so I'm actually importing from Mexico, from the United States, Chicago, right? Basically, so I can see that, well, talking about purchasing goods that I import, more of, actually, I purchase more in Chicago, and you can see how my discount analysis actually just changed. Okay, what about Mexico? Okay, Mexico is in yellow. Very good. I can see here then that actually the discounts that they offer are actually have been increased. Okay, they have been increased. That's good. So you can follow up and purchase still from this region. And why not to get the actual, look at this, this is why 11%. I get 10% of discounts with the Mexicans. That's good. And with this very basic reports, then you can still continue to work and make your comparison, which is the best vendor who's offering more, the best cost, the best discounts. And then even you can actually share it. This type of, everything that we do in Business Central can be shared. You can share within Excel, within Outlook, like we have already done. Okay, you saw the integration. But in this case, well, I'm not going to start Microsoft Teams, because in this case, this is just a demo environment. But if you have used this tool, you're going to be able to share in your chats this type of beautiful reports. Okay, so this is basically the idea. I have just imported some goods with what we would normally do, direct, indirect costs, how then we then get to the average cost, in this case 151. And then just to understand this part, we are going to be increasingly, the cost will be all the time increasing. But guess what? When we sell the item, the cost then will be already here for you. Okay, it's pre-calculated no matter when you post the invoices or the services 1 or 2 weeks later. If you actually sold this item before completing all the expenditures with the invoices and the application and everything and all this analysis that I have done, okay, as long as I receive the items in my warehouse, even though you haven't invoiced all of the services, you can immediately sell it. Okay, just for, I sometimes receive these questions. Okay, hey, do I need to invoice all my purchases, so in the end I'm going to be able to sell the item? The answer is no. If your warehouse clerk receives the item, it can immediately sell it either from the warehouse or send it to your stores, right? Well, you have your own network, right, internally in the company. But in the end, it's just for me a process of inputting expenditures as long as I receive my items on time. And well, hopefully, right? Well, it's Business Central is going to help you to calculate the actual unit cost, no matter how many variables, currencies, and different type of services that you hire to have your items on your own warehouses. Okay, so this is it. Thank you for your time. We have seen some of the actual processes, right? And if you want, well, when we do actually this type of processes, we can just integrate more features, of course, yes. If you want, and if you have a per calculation of the cost, maybe from your customs, right? You're gonna sometimes have these entities that help you to actually know and they pre-calculate well with the type of item how much you should apply right to the actual cost, and that's not done in Business Central because in every country will be different, but we can then just customize to apply the actual cost from your pre-calculated tool that you use to then just spread the cost accordingly, right? So that's part of the regular implementation processes that we follow. So thank you very much. If you have questions, please let me know. Okay, in the following webinars, by the way, I have received some interesting requests actually to do some retail. So if you have stores or you want to learn about stores management, the retail industry, complex inventory, complex management for distribution, different countries, different stores, one warehouse, one main warehouse, two main warehouses, multiple stores that in the end as well are warehouses. Control your beautiful discounts offers up to your imagination, loyalty, automatic replenishing. It's beautiful. Okay, that part is beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing more on that. This was a request from one. Well, I have received that, but in the end, this is the first time I'm going to be doing those. So hopefully you can come, okay, and continue learning this type of operations. Thank you very much. And I haven't yet received any questions. So let's say that for today we are good. Hopefully, hoping the best for all of you guys, and see you then next week.